Revelator John.
Hello, welcome to Revelator John. What is aerodynamics? Aerodynamics is essentially the study of airflow around any solid object. So the most practical and common application of this study is in the aviation sector, where we would have a wing or a rotor blade, for example, that is moved through the air to generate lift. So the study of aerodynamics is to see how efficient that airflow moves around that solid object, how streamlined it is, how streamlined the airflow is around the fuselage, and so on and so forth. And the study of aerodynamics in the aviation world is essentially to maximize lift and to minimize drag. So the more lift that we can get, or that the designers can get from the airflow movement over in a wing, the better it will be. The less drag that the designers can get from airflow moving over a wing, for example, the more beneficial it will be in terms of lift efficiency, speed, height gained, fuel efficiency, so on and so forth, many different reasons. If we move away from the aviation sector, aerodynamics is used in lots of other different things. It can be used in tall buildings, when they're erecting masts, for example. So they'll look at airflows, wind flows, that kind of thing. They may design certain very tall buildings or tall structures to have a kind of a profile that would enable airflow to flow around it more streamlined in a more aerodynamic fashion. In other words, that the airflow is not disrupted too much, so it doesn't create too much turbulence. Turbulence where air tends to tumble over an object instead of riding over it smoothly, that is what creates drag, and that's what can slow vehicles down, for example. Cars as another example, racing cars where they want to be as streamlined as possible, or buildings that can actually help them resist being moved in the air, or even in worst case scenarios actually toppling over. If we apply aerodynamics to racing cars, for example, well, if you imagine that in the aviation sector, a wing is designed to generate lift, so an aircraft will take off and fly up into the air. Well, they'll use the opposite process for racing cars, where they actually want to create downforce to keep the car pinned, if you like, to the racetrack, so they can go faster around bends, for example, and down the straights. Well, essentially they're using an upside down wing. Instead of the lift pointing up, the lift is pointing downwards towards the ground, so the faster they go, the more air is circulated over the wings or the fins on the racing car, and more downforce is applied. So that is basically the study of aerodynamics. It is simply the study of the efficiency of airflow around solid objects. Thank you.